Yahushua like Yahushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach. A hearty, mighty shalom to all the on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry in their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. And shalom to all of the Akwath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, reverent to the husband, being submissive and diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremother. Shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. This is a before camp warning. This would be a quick in transit, for lack of better terms, or on the road car chronicle before camp video. And this is before camp war summer edition, man. Touching on some of the current events that are going on in the earth, a lot of things that are happening. First and foremost, and I'm not going to be able to pull, 1,000 precepts twice told, or not going to be able to, read and break them all down. So I'm going to paraphrase through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. So as we approach these summer times coming in, man, you got May coming in, June, July. There's been a lot of madness in the earth, right? There's been a lot of madness in the earth. When I say madness, there's been a lot of civil unrest, right? Even amongst Babylon, there's been a lot of lootings going on at Walmarts. I'm not sure if brothers are aware that you've had about 4 to 5 Walmarts being looted. Now it's spreading. Now you have one in California, and you have another one going on, I believe, in Chicago as well. So there's a spirit of anarchy and rebellion that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is planting on the earth right now. Now that ultimately goes back to the book of Mark, the 13th chapter, and in Luke, the 21st chapter. Luke chapter 21, I believe 9, if I'm not mistaken, Yahweh said that there will be commotions. And in Mark, the 13th chapter, it says that there will be troubles. So you have somewhat of this prophecy playing out on the earth, and people are essentially, the Most High showing that the people of the earth are fed up, man. People are fed up with prices. People can feel that the end of the world is here. You can feel that America's falling apart, especially if you're in this truth, man. Even these people of the world, these inhabitants of the earth, they can feel that this place is going down, man. So you have a lot of civil unrest. You have massive looting going on. You have robbery going on at a high level. You have massive theft going on. You have billion-dollar corporations closing out their stores and department stores due to the amount of theft coming from these Babylonians, man. You had 3 recent shutdowns of curfews in Chicago and Baltimore and in Detroit the same week. Last week, the Lord said in 2nd Ezra chapter 5 that menstruous women would bring forth monsters. And these are the monsters you see. That monster, year-old range, you see menstruous women bringing forth monsters. Man, these kids, they're breaking into stores. They're beating up people. They're looting and robbing. Out in Baltimore, there was a 200 man mob, man. 200 kids fighting. 2 got shot. It's a curfew in Baltimore. Curfew in Chicago. Curfew in Detroit, man. And that's as soon as the weather break. And we know as Jake, when that weather begins to break, all hell starts to break loose, man. Crime skyrockets, shooting skyrockets, murder and theft skyrockets, man. So expect this summertime, man. It's gonna be crazy, man. And you brothers that go to camp, man, you gotta be circumspect. You brothers that are out on the highways and byways, especially if you're teaching major cities and chief concourses, you want to be circumspect about how you set up your camp formation, how you engage the people. You always have to make sure men hold a post, because coming off a fall and winter time of massive media, I guess I'll use that massive media release dealing with the Kyrie situation, the Kanye West situation. Now you're going to have people coming up to see what this thing is about, man. The weather's warm out. People are going to come out. Flocks of Israelites are waking up. We had a brother that came to the school to say, hey, look, man, I just found out I was an Israelite not too long ago, man, a few months ago. In lieu of the Kanye West and Kyrie Irving kind of putting that out there, and Israel capitalizing off of that information and doing lives and videos on it. So Israelites are waking up. And the beautiful thing about that is we're closer to getting out of here. But you have to remember that this is a just balance. As much as you're going to have Israelites wake up, you're going to have agent provocateurs. You're going to have false brethren. You're going to have demons come up. You're going to have people coming up this summertime strictly to debate, strictly to try to cause confusion in the congregation. So brothers, be aware, man. Be aware. Like we brought up before, when you read the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 11 and 1, it says, in the days were expired, and it was the time that kings go forth to battle. So when that weather break is when you have, in the ancient world, a lot of warfare. A lot of generals would get their soldiers from home, and they would continue military campaigns that couldn't be done in the wintertime. So when the spring and the summertime came in, a lot of war kicked off, man. That's just the nature and the course of life, how the Most High set it up. Every time the weather break, even in the ancient world, in the days of Alexander the Greek, in the days of Cyrus, in the days of other kings of the Achaemenid Empire, in the days of our kings, and David and Josiah and Hezekiah, Uzziah, warrior men, always when the weather broke, a lot of killing happened. A lot of killing happened, man, when the weather break. It's an opportune time, ideally and realistically, to slay your enemy, man. Rather it's in righteousness or it's in wickedness. So you have people moving in that same spirit, man. That's why you have the crime rate, like we always say, always tends to skyrocket when it comes to the summertime. You got looting going on, like we brought out. You have a potential civil unrest going on. So these are the things that we expect to see during the summertime. Now, another thing we're looking at through the spirit of poverty, how Babylon the Great are all moving. And for brothers that's been watching, you've been noticing that the European Union has been speaking up more against Babylon the Great. Now, I tell you in Revelation chapter 17, 16 on down, that these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn fire. For the Most High hath put it in their hearts to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So a lot of these nations that are in the EU, France, you see them doing it now, Germany, the UK, a lot of these nations are beginning to publicly put America down, man. And they're having meetings with America's enemies. They're eating dinner at the table of America's chief enemies. And they're willing to do that publicly, man. So you see America's, this Roman Empire falling apart. You see internally that America's fallen the same way that Rome fell. The Lord said in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 15, that which has been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. So you see the same way that, like we always bring out, how Rome fell, America's fallen. Rome fell due to the debasement of currency, and their currency began to lose value. So economically, they began to starve out. They weren't able to pay their soldiers. They weren't able to do different military campaigns. They weren't able to secure their borders. And that's what you see going on in America, man. America's economy is shot. It's through. $31 trillion in debt. And that's skyrocketing every day. Every day they're more and more in debt. So they're falling the same way that Rome fell. Another reason, or another way that Rome fell, is that Rome had a lot of civil unrest. and a lot of internal instability. And you see that going on with the looting. And I'm praying to Yahweh Shai that looting and these war. Now I don't know if they're doing this if this is like a false flag, or it's Walmart. Are they sending guys in there to shut Walmarts down and turn them to concentrate camps, or turn them to FEMA camps, or try to make everything a little bit more for lack of better terms, not human based? Because a lot of these stores now, they're no cashiers, it's self-pay, self-serve, and that's the new thing. But you have that going on. A lot of these Walmarts, like I brought out earlier, a lot of these Targets, a lot of these different places, they're being looted and robbed, huh? And that's the will of Yahweh Shai. So you have a lot going on in the earth, man. You have a lot of prophecy unfolding before your eyes. Now, when you go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and 44, it says, "Watch ye therefore and pray always, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come." So at any given second, all hell could break loose, man. All hell could break loose. The Most High can have a damn false flag go up. The Most High can put the spirit on North Korea to actually shoot a missile at Japan. And that's what they've been shooting missiles, but they haven't been hitting nowhere. Now Yahweh Shai at any given day can have one of these missiles that North Korea has been testing or launching actually hit Japan, huh? So there's a lot going on in the earth right now, and if you're not being circumspect, you're going to be caught out there. You're going to be caught out there, huh? So this is a before camp warning, letting brothers know about what's going on in the earth, what prophecies are unfolding, where do we stand at in terms of what prophecy is going to happen next, right? Where do we stand, and what should we be doing in the last days? And the main thing to that point, what we should be doing is examining ourselves, right? A lot of brothers are coming off maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks off of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And that was a beautiful time for you to remove leaven out of your spirit, man. And for you to examine yourself. So, really where brothers should be at is brothers should be in that same spirit of self-examination. Brothers should be in that same spirit of asking yourself, what can you do better in this truth? How harder can you go? What work are you putting in? Because in Revelation chapter 22 and 12, it says, "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be." So the Lord is going to reward you according to the work that you put in. So you got to ask yourself, well, what works are you doing? Right? There are brothers that just sit around all day, man. They don't read, they don't study, they barely pray, right? They barely fast. That's not the spirit that you should be moving in, man. We're in the spirit of pushing ourselves, man, to always be better, always be stronger, always increase through the will of our God, man. Yahweh Shai. And you have to ask yourself, have you been examining yourself thoroughly lately, man? 2 Corinthians 13 and 5, examine yourself, brother, ye prove yourselves. Know ye not your own selves, how the Hamashiach Yahushua is in you, except they be reprobates. So brothers got to ask themselves, where do you stand? Where do you stand in this thing? Because last time I checked, the Lord said in 1 Corinthians, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 10 and 12, it says, "Wherefore he that thinketh he standeth, take heed lest he..." So a lot of brothers think that they're standing right now. They think that they don't have to increase, right? They don't have to go harder. They don't want more. And you think the Most High is content with that. That's a strong delusion. If you believe that you can just remain the same and not increase, rather that's increasing in brotherly love, rather that's increasing in fear of the Most High, increasing in your knowledge of the laws and commandments, increasing in how you deal with your wife, or if you're a woman, how you deal with your husband, if you really think that you don't have to increase, you have a strong delusion. The Lord said he would choose your delusions in Isaiah chapter 66 and 4. Right? I would choose their delusions. There's always something to increase in. All these prophecies are unfolding. Things are happening every day, man. And the Lord said in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and 10 that you increase more and more. You're commanded to increase. Right? And guess what? You may not, I'll put it like this. The Most High is going to increase you on his time. But you have to make that effort. You got to come up with a game plan. You may have to come up with a schedule. You may have to cut off people. You may have to have more discipline, more temperance. And we in the last seconds, man. This is the final countdown. We don't have time to be drifting off back in the darkness. And the Lord said in Hebrews chapter 3, 7 on down, harden not therefore your hearts and the provocation. So we're in the spirit of softening our hearts to receive the words of life, man. If you're hardening your heart, that means you're not receiving correction. You're not receiving exhortation. Pharaoh hardened his heart. And what did the Lord do to Pharaoh? He killed him. The Lord said, exhort one another daily as ye see the day approaching, paraphrasing. Right? Or exhort one another daily, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. So brothers got to examine themselves, man. And see, are you moving in the spirit of a brother that believes? Because I'm going to tell you something. A man that really believes, he's going to make his body a living sacrifice. A man that has expectation, that has hope, he's going to present his body a living sacrifice, man. He's going to make sacrifices. He may not have all day to spend with his woman and his kids. He may not have all day to be at his job. They're reading on their lunch break, studying, or they may duck off and study a few precepts in the bathroom. Right? They're doing what they have to do in this captivity, man. You know, they may not be listening to a lot of music. They may be listening to breakdowns, listening to precepts. You got to fight to stay in the spirit. That's part of works too, man. You got to literally fight to stay in the spirit. You may have to stay up later. You may have to switch your schedule around. You may have to make adjustments. You know? And the Lord said, fight the good fight, man. So brothers got to really look at themselves and ask themselves, where your work's at, man? Have you really been going as hard as you could go for Yahweh Basham Shah? You know? Now, if you say, yes, yeah, I've been going as hard as I could go, well, brother, you know, you may be, but there's always more that we can do. Right? There's always more that the servants of the Lord can do, man. You know, so I don't want to be long-winded. I just it's a quick option. Shalakia. A quick before camp lesson, charging brothers to keep watching the prophecies at hand. Keep watching these stores closing down. Keep watching the looting and the robbing going on in Walmarts and these different places. And keep watch of your spirit, man. And make sure that you're not surfeiting and doing things in excess. Right? That's the most important thing to keep watch on. Keep watching, make sure that you're ruling over your own spirit and not giving heed to these demons. Right? Because they're working hard too. You got demons working hard. Satan is working hard. In Revelation, the 12th chapter, it says, Satan cometh down in great wrath, knowing that he hath but a short time. Right? So he knows that his time is short. And he's going to pull out all stops. He's not holding nothing back in these last days, man. Right? That's his game plan. The Lord already told you his strategy. He already told you what he got lined up for you. And you know, and these demons know every one of us. That's Acts 19:13 on down. Right? You had the 7 sons of Sceva, a Jew. Exorcists. Right? And those men got beat up by a demon. The demon told him, he said, Paul I know, Yahushua I know, but who are ye? So these demons know you. And they're going to be sent against you in these last days. And you have to recognize that and understand that these demons are sent to make war against you, man. And you're a city. And your walls and your city is the Holy Spirit of discipline. So right now, every man is fighting their own little war. You may be fighting a war against doubt, fighting a war against lust, fighting a war against pride. And these demons are besieging your city. You can say, well, I don't know about that. Yeah, they're besieging your city. Right? And you have to keep your walls up, man. Don't let no demon break your walls down. It's time to fortify your walls. Even our kings would do that. Josiah would do that, man. Hezekiah would do that. Uzziah would do that. The men of the Lord, the kings, they always made sure that the walls of Jerusalem was fortified. That's a cardinal city. You're a city. You're a house, man. It's time to build up your house, man. You know, the Lord said through idleness of their hands, the house droppeth through. Right? Through idleness, meaning through slothfulness, through laziness, men's houses drop through because they don't maintain their house. They don't maintain that roof. They ignored that leak that was coming through the ceiling. I'll fix it later. I'll fix it later. Then the whole ceiling caved in. And great was the fall of the ceiling. Then the basement begins to flood. Right? And then it becomes moldy and mildew. And then it pretty much becomes uninhabitable, man. Because you didn't pay attention to the little. And the Lord said, he that, Sirach chapter 19, and I'm paraphrasing it, a man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich. And it also says, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. So if you're the type of person to ignore small things and think that they don't matter, like being late, right, or to camp, or not reading how you should be, or not studying, or not praying as often, you think that those are small things, you're going to fall little by little. And those little things, right, those little things are going to become big things, man. Right? Those little things are going to become big things. Let me actually read that real quick. Right? When I just pulled up the camp, all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right, allowing me to get here safely. But this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 19 and verse 1. A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. Do not contemn the small things. The small things, again, are things that you think are insignificant. Right? Like what? Getting up early, first thing in the morning, you checking your phone and not praying. That's the small thing. I'm not eating pork. Well, it's not really a sin. Well, brother, that's going to increase your laziness. Then next thing you know, you don't even pray, man. Now you go from checking your phone, now you going to the bathroom. Now you getting something to eat. Now then you pray after all of that. So it puts a demon on you. That's an open invitation to demons to come into your house. That's like walking in your house and leaving the door cracked. It don't matter. So don't be surprised when you have a stranger in your house. A thief. Another one, Love Pius said procrastination. That's a beautiful one. Procrastination is a demon, man. I'll read tomorrow. I'll just fast next week. I had a tough week. I'll just fast next week. Right? That's not how this thing goes, man. I'll read later. I just want to kick my feet up and drink a glass of wine. If you're procrastinating, the Most High is going to give you over to that, man. Right? The Lord said, I made haste. It says, let me get that in Sirach chapter 5. Right? It says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord. Right? Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. So brothers got to really check that procrastination demon, that slothfulness demon, that I'll do it later demon, right? Or that I'm tired demon. I want to take a nap all the time demon. Those are spirits, man. Sometimes you got to stay up. You got to fight that sleep. You know? And you might have to get a cup of coffee. Oh, I'm not a coffee guy. You might become hey, I wasn't a coffee guy, man. You know? Hey, I pray to you, how about Shemi Shah for strength? Hey, I might get me a cup of coffee, man. I got to stay up. I got to get my reading in. Right? I got to study. I got to pray. You got to fight in this thing, man. The kingdom is not going to be handed to you. It's not supposed to be easy. This thing is about fighting, sacrificing, pushing, endeavoring, doing things that you don't want to do, but you have to do it because you want the kingdom. You're willing to suffer in the present time in order to get the kingdom of heaven in the future. Right? So you want to have discretion in your moves, but you have to make your body a living sacrifice at times, man. You know? And like the brother Slim D said, the sleep demon. That demon, every time you're ready to read, now you tired. Every brother experienced that demon before. As soon as you about to read, now you tired all of a sudden. Right? Oh, man, I'm tired. You better get up. A lot of brothers, you just go to sleep, man. You just let that demon whoop your ass, man. It's lucky for the language. You let that demon have his way with you, man. Flip you over, turn you around, and just have dominion over you, man. You better fight. You better get up, brother. Stretch. You better walk around. Hey, the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak, man. It's about staying up and keeping watch. Right? Let me get that real quick. So these are different spirits that we got to learn how to, these are the little things. You have to look at yourself, too, when you examine yourself and say, what are the little things that I'm doing? What are the things that are small that can be big things that lead to my downfall? Right? And like maybe it's a lust demon. Maybe every time you get on social media, you're just looking at a woman. Right? You may not be watching, you may not be watching no lewd, nasty sites, but you just lust. You just want to see her shape. And you staring. Right? Or then you kind of, brother, that's lust. Now you're going to lead to adultery, pornography, masturbation, freaking off, lewdness, lasciviousness, concupiscence, idolatry, death, fire, brimstone, having your head chopped off by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Ask yourself, what are the little things that you are condemning in the last days? What are the little things that you're ignoring? What are things that you think are minor that perhaps may be major? Or things that you think are minor that are going to build up to major things. Right? That's what this truth is, man. All right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. All right? St. Matthew chapter 24. I paraphrased it, but I'm going to read it again. Matthew 24, I'm going to read 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known and would watch, the thief would come, he would have watched and would have not have suffered his house to be broken up. So you need to watch over your spirit, Israel, right? And make sure your house don't get broken up. Make sure there's no leak in your house. They got house inspectors. They might notice, hey, look, you got mold growing in your basement. And then you got people saying, oh, I didn't know I had mold in my basement. How did I know? Because you're not diligent in your house. You don't know what's going on in your house, man. You got people that found out they had a rat infestation, a spider infestation, mildew, mold. You got a damn somebody living in the attic. You didn't, because you're not keeping watch over your house. You got a leak in the roof. The small things that you ignore, the door don't close all the way, then the whole door is going to break off. You ignore how the door don't really close like that. I'll fix it later. Then next thing you know, the damn hinges are falling off. Check your spirit, Israel. Ask yourself, what are the small things? The Lord said, he that contemneth the small things shall fall by little and by little. Right? So we're not in that time to be ignoring the little things, man. It's the summertime. It's heating up. Crime is going to increase. Demons are going to come out. More spirits are going to try to attack you. And you got to check everything and tighten up in these last days. So with that, I'm going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach, Kwam Yashah. Shalom.